My first person on the Pranayama podcast is a dear friend, the mother of 2 young twin boys, an acupuncturist, and the first person in the world to mastermind and launch a yoga festival, the Telluride Yoga Festival in Colorado. So let's take a deep dive, spend some quality time with Aubrey Hackman. You are the first person to do my stuff. I love it. Isn't that so cool?
Yes, it's really cool and an honor. Thank you for having
Oh,
me.
the honor is mine. Absolutely. I love it. Couldn't be better. Hey, how are you feeling about facing that direction? Do you want to face out towards the field?
No, I'm good.
You're
I'm good.
good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just got to get this thing adjusted a little bit. And you let me know is this good for you?
Yeah. I don't want to break anything. So
No, you can't break it. Those things are so strong. Whip that thing around.
Okay.
And just get it close to your mouth so like an inch away.
All right.
So this is fantastic. So much to cover. I guess, traditionally the place to start would be where you're from and your background. I have a tendency to just jump right into the middle of things,
We can do that too, whatever you want to do.
Let's start from the beginning.
Story of origin.
Story of origin. Yeah. Because my thoughts go to the Telluride Yoga Festival in Telluride, Colorado. Even though I knew you before that, that's where I really got to know you.
Yeah.
But since
Understood
then,
me.
since then, I've just learned so much about you. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay. Well, I'm born and raised in Peoria, Illinois, and I went to college in Colorado. And when I graduated, I moved to Telluride, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so my junior year of college or so, I got really heavily into yoga. Thought I was going to go to law school, started, took the LSAT, did all of that. Thought I'd go to Telluride and work for a real estate broker that I had met during the summer internship. And yeah.
Well, I wouldn't have guessed that. That's
I got a little derailed.
Yeah.
I had a very linear path mapped out for myself. But I got really heavily into yoga. I actually went to the original Core Power. I knew Trevor Tice. And,
really?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
And another man named Dave. I can't remember Dave's last name. Sorry, Dave. But I took yoga from them. I met another teacher, Alana Cavalia, who I think I took their 3rd or 4th teacher training that they did. And Alana was running their teacher training at that time. She was a certified Jiva Mukti teacher.
Ah, I see.
And so I just really connected with her and how much depth of yoga she really understood above and beyond what the power yoga structure really offers, like the deeper rooted ancient stuff. And so I moved to Telluride, and there I also was introduced to Ashtanga yoga because there was no Core Power in Telluride.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Telluride's only like 2,000 people, so it's like a tiny little mountain town. They're not going to have a giant Core Power there for you. But yeah, so I started studying Ashtanga yoga. Really missed kind of like the more modern vinyasa style and ended up in a Jiva Mukti teacher training.
Okay.
Yeah. And then that really inspired and enlightened my passion to do yoga in a way that gave back, right? Instead of just a taking mentality of
I want the fame, I want the money.
Yeah.
You want the
or commercialism,
admiration.
I was kind of more no, yoga in its inception and its in cellular form should be one of mindfulness and giving back and altruism. And you can't just litter a campus with Fiji water bottles and,
right.
Disposable plastic crap and, things that really essentially harm the earth and other people and make us sicker essentially. But so I really wanted something that on a very fundamental cellular level, was improving the karma of even the participants, because I'd kind of become maybe obsessed with karma at that point from my Jiva Mukti training.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I wanted to create a zero karma event. And so And so I created the Telluride Yoga Festival at the age of 24, I believe, and got the town's support and help with that. I had a business partner that helped me to secure sponsorships, and we put the whole thing together, and it was a huge success kind of out the gate. That first year was way bigger than we could ever imagine, because all the other yoga teachers felt the same way. Like they were like tired of all of the wasteful kind of
everything else that was out there at
that
time, right?
They were inspired by my mission, to say the least. And I went and met every one of them personally and approached them personally and talked to them, so they got like a feeling for me and my actual vision.
It was innovative.
Yeah, at the time. Yeah, we were written up in all of the yoga magazines and stuff like that. So we did really well. And so that went on and grew every year till 1,200 participants by the year that you came.
Right.
And it was, probably one of the best parts of my life, traveling the world and talking about yoga and getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
Right. Wow.
And just kind of just jumping down the rabbit hole as deep as I could go. I ended up in India for a long period of time through I think I started going in 2010, and then I would go for a couple months at a time to study Ashtanga yoga, which kind of still was like a big passion of mine. And that led me to Encinitas to study with Tim Miller, because I knew that I knew that eventually I would want to be doing secondary education of some kind. And I knew that I wanted to kind of live somewhere with a larger population so I could do teacher trainings and kind of expand my teaching career. So that led me here. And then in 2016, I think it was, I decided to go to school for Eastern medicine and acupuncture and herbology. And I just passed my boards last July.
Yeah, I know.
I also had kids in there.
Yeah,
and in 2019, I had twins.
I think a lot has happened in that
a lot
span,
has occurred. So that brings us to date.
Well, that was in a nutshell, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well done. No, that's good. That's all really good.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a deep similarity between your invested interest in yoga and your studying acupuncture and getting your degree in acupuncture. What's the predominant link between the two, would you say?
Well, I was raised by a chiropractor. My stepfather's an acupuncturist and a chiropractor, very successful. So I got exposed. He's been my stepfather since I was 3. And so I've been exposed and raised in, alternative health modalities my entire life. I don't remember any differently.
Okay.
So, when it came to having a lot of private clients and working one-on-one with training teachers and just getting to know people, I did a lot more different kind of yoga therapy style work with people, and wanted to be able to make that more formalized. After I had frozen shoulder 10 years ago, I spent thousands, I think around $10,000 trying to correct that. And I got a lot of things for free too. So if I had to pay for all of it, I don't even want to know what that would have cost. But finally, my really incredible massage therapist who got me a lot of relief was like, you really need an acupuncturist. And it was 3 sessions, and I got back 60% of my mobility that I'd had lost. Yeah.
There's a testimonial right there.
Yeah. I mean, it was at that point where I just needed that final tweak. I'd done a lot of work trying to heal it through my neck and everything. So I fell in love with my acupuncturist too. She's amazing. She's became a good friend of mine and confidant. And
Come on, let's do a shout out.
Yeah,
What's her
Sherry
name?
Lane. Sherry Lane. I love Sherry Lane.
And where's Sherry Lane? Here in San Diego?
Sherry Lane used to be in Del Mar. Now she's in LA.
I love it.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have given her a shout out.
No.
But yeah, so I just loved her, and I used to dog sit for her, and we used to, we had a lot of time together. I got a lot of good treatments from her. And, when I was looking at like the back later part of my life, like I loved teaching yoga. I just was like, if I have to say up dog, down dog for like another 40 years, I might develop dementia or something, just like way. So I just felt that need to be mentally stimulated and to like add to my resume. And I really felt that nurturing feeling towards a lot of my clients at that time, and I like wanted to help them and support them in a way that felt more formal.
Yeah. And they're both tied so deeply in with
Yeah.
prana, right? They're just
They're
so
the
many
same thing.
elements.
Yeah.
It's just the same thing, really.
Yeah. Sherry was always the first one to tell me that too. She'd be like, if you did yoga today, you don't really need acupuncture. And I would be like,
Right.
oh, okay. She's like, if you get a chiropractic adjustment, you don't really need acupuncture. You let things sit and like settle as they are, and then you then address them. Don't like,
Right.
throw everything into your body all at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I learned a lot from her, and she understood Ashtanga yoga as well. She'd done a little bit of it herself, and she was cool. She is still cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just got over a frozen shoulder.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of injuries throughout my life. And
Yeah.
I've been really kind of crazy, colorful, a lot
Yeah.
of my life. And I tell you, the frozen shoulder was one
Mhm.
of the most painful things I ever been through. And at the same time, I had lower back issues. At
Mhm.
the same time, my right foot bunion, hammer toes that were operated on
Mhm.
in my 20s were
Yeah.
starting to become inflamed.
Mm.
Just couldn't sleep, and it went on forever.
Mhm.
I wish I had reached out to you and gotten the same acupuncture treatment at that time.
Yeah. Well, now
So,
we're here, and you are getting treatment. So.
yeah, I am.
So we're addressing it. See, it's like, you go through that. It's painful. I would, if I rolled over on my shoulder, I would scream, like I would cry in the middle of the night as an adult. And it was genuine. Like I would be like writhing in pain if I accidentally rolled onto my left shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially it seems one of the treatments that are used classically is you have to move your shoulder.
Yeah.
You have to keep stretching it out and moving it. And yet
Yeah.
it's just the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, it hurts.
Yeah, it hurts a lot.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it's
It does.
interesting. I'm
Yeah.
helping another friend. He's going through it right now. He's about to get shoulder surgery, and we've been counseling each other for the last couple of years on our shitty shoulders.
So-
Our wonderful, blessed, wonderfully strong
Stay
and healing
close, stay
shoulders.
close to the mic. There you
Stealing
go.
shoulders, or healing shoulders, rather.
The to go through acupuncture school is just really challenging. A lot of memory work, a lot of paperwork, a lot of study. It's just very thorough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you
It's a
really
lot of memorization.
right,
And
right.
difficult memorization.
Right, because
Yeah.
I mean, they're Chinese names
Mm-hmm.
for the meridians, for everything.
I think we have an 18% graduation rate from my school. Only 18% graduate.
18%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people to
Yeah.
drop out.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
okay, can we skip back to the Telluride?
Let's do it. Yeah.
So tell me what happened there. I mean, what happened? You sold the
Mhm.
festival.
Yeah, 2013 I
What
sold it.
what was going on in your head at that time? What brought you to that conclusion? There you were flourishing with all these beautiful people in Telluride. I mean, it was happening.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened?
I think I just hit a burnout phase. I think that the culture changed really fast. So I kind of caught the first wave of yoga events in the country. We were technically the first yoga festival on earth. Now there's hundreds of them.
I had no idea,
but
really.
We use that term. There was
Mhm.
yoga journal conferences.
Mhm.
There was yoga events, workshops, retreats, but they had never put that word together. But Telluride's like the town of festivals. There's a festival from Memorial Day to what's the one in September? Labor Day. So, it's just, in multiple festivals every weekend. So we tried to come up with like a different name for it, but we just kept calling it the Yoga Festival. And so it just remained the Yoga Festival, the Telluride Yoga Festival, which ended up being good for the town because it was like having Telluride in the name is a good thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did granting and sponsorship, and I was let's see, in 2010 I started traveling to India, and I also came to Encinitas and taught a little bit with my friend Kristen Watson, who is a fellow Jiva Mukti teacher. She's now in Switzerland. And when I was here subbing for her, she met her husband.
Oh.
Yeah, in
wow.
Switzerland. And so she ended up leaving. So it left kind of like a hole in the community for me to just kind of slip into with like a built-in career, as an independent contractor. So
Mhm.
I really wanted to do teacher trainings. I really wanted to be teaching. Running the yoga festival just ended up being a lot of administration work that
Mhm.
it
That's
it
right.
wore me down. And trying to find someone on the ground in Telluride that could pick up, the administrative side just there locally became more and more challenging.
Mhm.
You know, um, I don't know. It was weird. It was a very strange thing, and I always thought I would kind of keep myself split between Telluride and Encinitas, but it just kind of became harder and harder to do
You
as
had to
I
choose.
became more invested here. But I still have, Telluride's like a heart place for me, so I still feel very deeply connected to
Oh, I'm
Telluride.
sure. It's
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
amazingly beautiful, isn't it? I remember when
Yeah.
I first drove into it over the mountain
It's
ridge right there.
incredible.
I had an old Land Cruiser. It fit right
Mhm.
in. It's just
Yeah.
like, where am I?
It's
It's just
magical.
absolutely magical.
People are like, "Oh, I've been to Vail, I've been to Aspen." It's like, "No. If you haven't been to Telluride, you have no idea."
Hmm.
It's like Yosemite is on the same page as Telluride. The grandeur of that town is not met anywhere else. You
Yeah,
have to
so
go to
true.
notice it, the Box Canyon, and it's just a sacred space. You feel it. I felt it every day that I lived there. Every day that I'm in Telluride, I feel that sacred energy
Hmm.
there.
When was the last time you were there?
Oh, recently. Well, in the last year, I think I went in August I guess not recently, in August of 2 years ago. Was the last time I was there.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not so long
Not
ago.
so long ago. Normally I go like twice a year, but the last 2 years with my acupuncture stuff has kind of consumed me.
Hmm.
So,
We were talking a few days ago about different subjects that we would
mhm.
like to approach
Yeah.
here
Mhm.
in this interview,
Yeah.
and one of the subjects that we kind of started to wrap ourselves into was your awakening. So I remember we called it your awakening,
My
the moment
awakening.
where
The aha
you
moment.
yeah, you
Yeah.
just went, wow, okay, this is where I need to go, and this is what I really feel like I want to do. Were you not telling me you were injured, or besides your frozen shoulder, there was something else going on? Did I get that
No.
right? No?
You mean for the yoga festival, like when I
Just
decided
to
to do
get
that?
into yoga in general. Wasn't that?
Oh, yeah. I feel like the latter part of my college years was a little tricky. I'd come out of like a lot of partying, drug use,
Mhm.
and it
Yeah.
was really interesting. Um, it was my senior year of college, and I remember like just realizing one day that it had been 6 months since I had partied at all, and I
Mhm.
hadn't tried to stop. Like, it was never like,
Right.
"Oh, I'm gonna get sober," or and I'm not sober, but, I was, all of a sudden, I got really into yoga, and I just started realizing, "Hey, if I go out with my friends tonight, I'm not gonna get up at 6 a.m. and go to yoga tomorrow."
Right, right.
So, I just started making that choice. "Well, I'm gonna stay in tonight, I'm gonna go to yoga tomorrow. I'm gonna stay in tonight, I'm gonna go to yoga tomorrow."
Mhm.
And at 6 months, it just kind of was like, "Huh, my whole life has changed," and I was like, not and I didn't have and that was just my own personal experience. I'm not saying if you're struggling with drug and alcohol abuse to just start going to yoga, but it definitely I genuinely liked it more. I don't know
Mhm.
how else to say it.
Mm.
I just liked it more. So I started choosing that, and it became where I'd want to go, and I went to Core Power every single day, and just kind of started enjoying feeling good all the time versus when I was out with my friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Especially it seems, I have a very ssimilar story in many
Mhm.
ways, but when you start to tap into that Ujjayi breathing,
Mhm.
every single movement and
Mhm.
profound awakening that takes place with that, it's just
Mhm.
hard to go back, tie into the beautiful culture, especially
Mhm.
back then,
Mhm.
so clean and pure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can see how the transformation can take place so easily.
I feel like it picked me. Do you feel like that? I don't
Oh,
even like it
absolutely.
picked me. I was on a completely different program path, and
Hmm.
it just kind of picked me up and pulled me in.
Hmm.
Hasn't
Yeah.
spit me out yet, totally.
But now it's just seems like it's making a full circle, and now you're entering into a whole new, the deepest of the deep phase.
Yeah.
I mean, it's becoming so intimate again, really, right
Yeah.
now, right? Because
Yeah.
of all this training and your acupuncture and launching this new career, and
Yeah.
there's a whole new layer of elements you can bring into the practice and the wisdom teachings. And
Mm-hmm.
now you're a mother, so you have all the
Mm-hmm.
wisdom that comes with that.
Holy shit. Yeah, I didn't think I would ever care about like pediatrics or women's health. And now I really care about all of those
Sure.
things so deeply. And, it's completely altered me on a cellular level in a crazy way, becoming
Hmm.
a mother. And yeah,
Hmm.
it's interesting.
Oh, to say the least,
Yeah,
right? To say the
yeah. It's
least.
fun. I'm grateful. I'm like, thank God that happened.
How old are your boys now? By the way, for our
5.
audience out there, Aubrey has 2 twins.
Yeah.
She calls them the turkeys.
Yes, the turkeys. Sometimes the terrorists, but I've been informed I'm not allowed to say that anymore.
Right.
It's what it feels like though. But yeah, they're turkeys. They're the sweetest little guys ever. I say being a mother is the best worst job on earth.
Hmm.
It's the best and the worst.
Yeah.
It's just the fear, the guilt. I don't know. I didn't know about mom guilt until I had kids. It's a
Right,
real
right.
thing.
Yeah.
I thought Catholic guilt was going to be the extent of my existence, not also layering in mom guilt all the time.
Hmm.
You just always feel like you can be better, At least I do. Like, I'm like, oh, I could be a better mom. I could have done this differently. I could have, taken an extra breath here and just grounded myself before responding, And I still like try to do that obviously every day, get better and better, but it's hard. It gives me a lot of deep empathy for my own mother and
Hmm.
father and what they must have gone through. And like, it's been very healing for me in that way.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when
It's
you can't,
tough.
yeah, it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it, right?
No.
Nothing even really comes close.
I mean, I think loving an animal, I don't really ever want to downplay that because I've certainly deeply loved animals, various animals throughout my life. So I don't want to discount my friends who don't have kids, but they have a dog or a cat or a horse or a bird or whatever, whatever it is, or a partner. It's like, you just that like, the love that binds you is the love that frees you. And that like deep connection and selflessness that you have for someone or something else is actually like the deepest source of freedom you'll ever have. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's the most true thing that I've heard in the last 10 years. It's actually at my sister's wedding. I heard the priest say that the love that binds you is the love that frees you. And so like whether it's Eastern medicine, being a mother, yoga, our relationship, like, we all could go do something else with our time. But like the reason that we choose to make these connections and invest in ourselves and like take that step back, I think is really like the greatest source of like wisdom for me is just keep investing in that like love that binds you,
Hmm. Hmm.
And so you kind of, at least for me, being a mom just makes me want to keep showing up better and better.
Hmm. So do you think it's deepened your own sense of self-love? Or
I don't
you
know.
still working through some,
I
you
think I'm
just
always going to
spoke
work on
about
that.
guilt and shame and always trying to go
Yeah.
to be better, but what about this sense of self-love? Has that changed in your practice, your actual, say, asana, pranayama practice?
I think that I do believe on some level you have to nourish yourself in order to give to others. And that's kind of what inspires me. But self-love, I think for me is always like a deep, real struggle. Like I would just rather live in
Hmm.
the service of others and in the state of giving than receiving. And so for me, it's always um, a challenge to give back to myself. But when I really think about it, of course I love myself. I take really good care of myself.
Hmm. Hmm.
I religiously wake up and take my herbs and
Right.
drink my water and drink my bone broth and take care of my body and like come to your yoga class when I can, go for walks. I mean,
Yeah.
that's self-love, That's
Yeah.
like I'm going to take care of this vessel and keep it harmonious so that I can serve other people. But um No, I think that becoming a mother has actually just made me, I think I love more, but it's not like self-love is still a struggle, I think.
Yeah, isn't that
Yeah.
so interesting? I
Yeah.
find that's so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my journey, by the way, in the
Mm-hmm.
yoga practice was really cultivating a deeper sense of self-love. It really wasn't there
Yeah.
in the beginning for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I had challenging time with drugs and alcohol
Mm-hmm.
before I started my serious yoga practice at 30, late 29,
Mm-hmm.
30. And then I soon realized that, whoa, this was all about tearing down the armor that I had built up both empirically and mentally, and that it just wasn't necessary. I ran into Scott Peck's A Road Less Travel, given to me by a girlfriend. And then Tim gave me Jack Cornfield's A Path of
Mm-hmm.
Heart, and I just, right away, I could tell that I just wanted to go into the handstands and muscle through things. And I could just quickly realize, whoa, all this has to be torn down. And it's
Yeah.
really about the back bends for me and opening my
Sure.
heart and finding some sort of empirical balance to find that balance both in the heart mind.
Yeah.
So it just really, that's been the path for me ever since, is always just moving back to the heart.
Same. The heart-mind connection is the most incredible thing in the world.
It really is. And then,
Yeah.
and then, what's beautiful, I believe, about our time is that, especially here in America, is that it's so ingrained that you really can't have a heart mind lifestyle and be a driven capitalist at the same time. You can't really make money.
I
You
don't know
don't
if that's
have
true.
that.
I don't agree with you.
No, I'm not saying that that's the way it is. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that it's difficult for what I see and what I
Yeah.
perceived a lot of the culture to go deeper into the heart mind and still
Mm-hmm.
realize that they can acquire whatever they want, whatever they feel they desire in this world.
It's easily perverted. That's for
Right,
sure.
exactly.
It's
It's
easily
so,
like I think immediately, for whatever reason, maybe I'm just an annoying contrarian, but of several people that I know of that I feel like still live in that heart body connection, but have gained a lot of affluence and
mm-hmm,
success on a financial
mm-hmm,
capitalistic way. They're
absolutely.
fewer and farther between, and I don't think that they necessarily hit the level of maybe wealth that some people have, but they certainly are okay,
They- Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. It's very challenging. It's very challenging to stay in that clean flow. And honestly, just to circle it back to the yoga festival, I mean, that kind of became part of a disheartening thing for me was, you know, the money that some of these yoga teachers were commanding to come and teach for the weekend for something that was, incredibly altruistic. Like I wasn't making $1 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we were just trying to raise money and awareness and like cultivate a good vibe and get people aware of themselves and their connection. If you're going to be a yoga person or if you're interested in yoga, this is what it really is. These are the experts on the subject, and be aware of what you're doing and how you're thinking and what you're communicating at all times,
Right.
because it creates a vibration. But then it just kind of became, I don't know. I think that part of it, I did definitely got over.
Mm-hmm.
Not working with people like you. It was always fun to have like all my good friends for the weekend to do yoga and like get to do something super cool and share their gifts and their geniuses with other people. That was always something that I thought was just incredible. And I would really like to actually do again and do it in the realm of like Eastern medicine and yoga, like expand it a little bit to just, yeah. Those events exist too. They're kind of popping up now more and more.
Well, we'll have to explore that. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
So you think that this right from the start, there was this competitive alpha power struggle with some of the teachers in cultivating a hierarchical system where they were working their way up the ladder and becoming the most well-known, influential teacher out there. Is that what you're speaking to?
Well, yeah, kind of. But then I also like once you kind of start like you and me, like kind of more, and Eddie Stern comes to mind, like the more academic yogis, like the people that go and learn Sanskrit and the people that go and start looking at the texts that yoga is talked about in, and then going to India and deeping, actually like going to source information essentially. I just think that I kind of lost my train of thought there. I just found that like the people that had the big names or the big followings, or they were like so superficial in their own knowledge of the system and their own application of the yoga, that I was uninspired by their work. And I really only wanted to work with the deeper teachers like you and T.S. Little and Richard Freeman. And, I liked Sarah Powers and Beryl Binder Birch and, Nancy Steckert. She's the number 2 Iyengar teacher right behind Manuso. Like, I loved Patricia Walden. I was always trying to get her involved. Sharon and David, obviously. Like, people that weren't afraid to, like, teach yoga.
Right.
And that didn't need to turn it into, like, a sex tantra dance like some teachers do. Or...
That's brilliant.
You're fucking kidding me. Like, I mean, I would just be, what? Yoga is a very conservative practice. This is not like, what you're selling people is a big fat lie, but have fun, enjoy yourself. Just, I'm not going to participate. I'm going to do my own thing on the side, whatever. But like, it became... There were the ones that knew, and then there were like the masses that didn't, So it was just kind of like, I just kind of wanted to do my own thing, like fall out of that rat race, so to speak, not care.
Right. So correct me if I'm wrong. There's this whole group of people that really know what to say and how to act. And then there's a whole group of people that really know what it is.
Yeah. There's entertainers and then there's teachers.
Right, right. Interesting.
So, and the masses, like, and I do too. Like, I'm not trying to say it's not fun. Like, I've had a lot of fun in these silly classes that I've been to, but like, I still would go do my Ashtanga practice, because what I learned from acupuncture school, to segue this back, is that yoga is medicine for the body. It's body medicine and it's self-medicine. And it's actually how you learn to tap into the energetic reservoirs within yourself to heal whatever is going on. And acupuncture, Eastern medicine, herbology, chiropractic, massage, okay? These are practices where you actually solicit or request the assistance of another person to help you. And so that's the difference. And in yoga, I believe, I know some people disagree with me, that having a teacher is imperative, because you don't learn the proper proprioception. You can, but it takes a lot longer. But like, it's also the humility aspect and the humbleness that needs to be cultivated. Like, so much of martial arts really, truly communicates is like, what's the acronym? So I don't have to swear. STF.
Oh, you can swear.
Shut the fuck up. Like, listen and shut the fuck up, and shut the fuck up. Sit down. Sit on your hands. Shut the fuck up and listen. Like, stop.
I'm kicking you out.
Yeah, or go home. And I've been in so many yoga classes, and actually I've been in academic, Eastern medicine classes where the teachers have said this to people, and I respect it, because it's like, either sit down and listen to what we're teaching you or leave. Like, and I think our culture is getting further and further away from that discipline of actually learning how to receive information in a respectful way, even if you don't like what you're hearing. People just get up and leave, or they scream and yell, or they, there's so much more space, it seems like, for that anyway.
Yeah. So fascinating, isn't it? Literally, we could speak for hours just on that subject, basically.
Yeah.
That's a powerful subject, especially for people such as ourselves that remember, there weren't teacher trainings when we started,
when you started, there were a lot of, there were teacher trainings springing up when I started. I kind of maybe I got the second wave, probably.
Yeah. There weren't when I started. And I've never been the type of person that needed to see a crowd following a certain discipline before I would join. I've never been like that. If I see something, I just go, wow, that's good. And I'm going for that,
Exactly. Me too. Yeah.
You know,
None of my friends from college went to yoga with me. I think one or two went to a class or two with me, but never like regularly or anything. I went by myself.
Right.
It's my space, it's always kind of like what I thought.
Yeah. And with that in mind, it seems to me that we're completing some sort of circle here.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen the buildup of yoga, and not that it still isn't growing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the statistics say that it's still growing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always curious as to where statistics come from personally, but
PR firms.
Yeah. Is it, it is completing a circle. I mean, everybody's been through the thousands of teacher trainings.
Yeah.
And, the cutting people off of pedestals after the very same people built them up onto pedestals.
Right.
We're seeing all of that. That's happened. It's probably still happening. It'll probably continue to happen. But people's awareness of big gurus is shifted, and, it's all, but it keeps going. So it's going somewhere. It's coming back around into, I believe, a new form of wisdom. There's a new awareness out there.
I believe that too.
That's what I feel, being as, I mean, here we are in the middle of Encinitas. It's still one of the meccas of yoga.
Yeah.
In many ways.
I really think it, just to segue back, I think it's the meridian system, and it really lends to just the inherent power within our own meridian system in the body. And one of your questions was, what role do you see technology playing in the future of wellness, particularly in areas of mindfulness and mental health? And for me, that's like the coolest thing that exists, is that we have MRI imaging, and we have CAT scan imaging, and we have neurological testing that can prove that these points, that if we touch them in specific ways and stimulate them in specific ways, whether it's with, someone's thumb, a needle, a laser, a tool, whatever, that certain parts of the brain light up, certain neurotransmitters are released. There is an increase in all of the chemicals of your body that actually reduce inflammation. There's a reduction of inflammation. It's like, we already knew all this. That's what's fascinating to me. But now we can prove it. Hey, this isn't just hippie bullshit. This is real, and we can prove it now. So to me, that's the exciting part of it, versus yoga with Andrea or whatever her name is, that has that huge YouTube following.
I don't know that.
I have so many patients. I do yoga with Andrea in my living room. And I've done yoga with Andrea because I was curious. And I'm like, this is terrible. This is not good movement. People are doing this. This is
Andrea, we still love you.
You're amazing. Good job. I have nothing but envy for your life. But I also really am weary of certain styles of movement. And we want to but you can't deny that it feels good to open the meridians, is my point. And the lunging and the this and that, it feels good. Even if you do it wrong, it still feels good, right? So that's the vastness that we're in right now, is just a lot of mixed up people doing things that feel good, I guess. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. But back to your point about the deep data that's been surfacing lately with people like Andrew Huberman. By the way, I just got back not too long ago with seeing him speak in Chicago. It was absolutely wonderful.
Awesome.
He's
rad.
He has really cultivated his humor as well, and just woven it right into his teachings. It's just such a beautiful lecture that he has going. It was so much fun.
Cool.
Right away when I came back, I just started working on my humor.
Yeah, it's the best. I think it's the highest form of intelligence, humor.
Oh, do you? Okay.
I do.
I'll try harder.
Yeah, I think it's easier to learn brain surgery than it is to learn humor. The numbers show. I'm pretty sure there's more neurologists than comedians. Especially successful ones. Right? So it's hard, and safely doing comedy is also tricky. You don't want to hurt people's feelings or get pigeonholed into a bias or something like that because you made an off-color joke or something,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So you have to be careful with humor too, So
It's quite interesting that all this deep data is surfacing to support what many have known for thousands of years. I didn't
Yeah.
really need the deep data, but it's nice to have
Mm-hmm.
because I know it's bringing in people that normally wouldn't be here. And at the same time, you have cosmologists,
Mm-hmm.
stepping up to the plate and going, hey, we really don't know what gravity is. We know what
Mm-hmm.
it does, but we don't know what it is. We don't know what time is, the time space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We
You know,
fabricated all these concepts, but we still think that there's something to them.
yeah, and it's just, you tie that into, all this new deep data that's surfacing. It's just wonderful life we're living. It's very fascinating.
It's crazy.
It's so
The
fascinating.
speed of technology is insane.
Yeah.
And it always strikes me when I get in the car. I always think about this now, like, am I selecting my music or has it already been curated?
Free will.
Yeah, like do I think I'm picking this song or did like AI already know she's going to get in and she's going to play Biking by Frank Ocean for the 9 billionth time or whatever it is, like whatever. Like it's interesting. Like I'm always like I think about this all the time when I'm picking music cuz like if you ever let it shuffle, it like already knows what mood you're in, and that always kind of creeps me out.
Right.
I'm like, how the fuck did you know that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've been silent all morning by myself, but it's like taking little pictures and constantly inputting data into itself. So it kind of trips me out.
Oh, that's a rabbit hole to go down right there.
Mm-hmm.
That really is.
Yeah.
Billions and billions of dollars are spent on manipulating and gathering information about
Yeah.
you in any
Yeah.
way that they possibly can, and then using it to their benefit. Obviously,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's been going on.
Yeah. So
Yes.
it's like this like metaverse, right? Like, then it's like, is the metaverse something that is like real, or is it like like you and I both know of those intuitives that claim to like be able to like tap into the, agnostic scrolls and like, can read ancient wisdom by tapping into a certain way. Do you know these people? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, no, not directly.
You know these cuckoos, right? Like, but I'm sorry, I'm not calling you a cuckoo. I know you know me, but like, if you ever hear this, I'm sorry ahead of time. But yeah, I believe you. I believe that I don't know. I'm just like, I'm not a naysayer is my thing. Like I'm not that obviously I wouldn't be this far in my life if I was a naysayer. Like I'm always like, let's see, like, yoga changes your brain and your body. Okay, let's see, and I put myself through the protocol. And actually the ancient Eastern medicinal people did the same thing. Like the guy who's responsible for the majority of the herbs that we use, they said that he tasted everything. And then that's how he explained it and recorded it. And he ingested all of it. And anyway, so it's really interesting. I mean, that's kind of, when you start getting into Eastern medicine more deeply, it reads a lot like, the more ancient texts, like the Rig Veda or Yoga Sutras or any of those texts. It reads very similarly.
Right. And they still exist to this.
Yeah.
They're still there. Yeah, that's quite fascinating, isn't it? It's still a living formula, a living, not just a philosophy, but a way of life.
Mm-hmm. And it can complement everything. I'm really anti this like Western versus Eastern idea. I really hope that we as a culture begin to reframe our approach with medicine in a more appropriate way. And, I see Western medicine as like acute emergency medicine. I see Eastern medicine as preventative chronic medicine.
Mm-hmm.
You have a chronic disease, come see us, right? You want to prevent chronic disease, come see us. Like you have a broken arm, you go to the hospital. Your heart stops, you go to the hospital. But I see people, whether they're dealing with autoimmune or they're dealing with allergies or pain, they're not good at treating pain at all. And I think that, palliative care really exposes that, if you know what palliative care is. It's crazy. So, I mean, their approach is painkillers.
Right, yeah.
And enemas. Essentially. And it's not really about, and I think when you look at the journals, which we should upload, I'll send them all to you because they're rad. But like we look at yoga, we look at acupuncture, we outperform opiates, right? And opiates have a 46% placebo rate. I've heard. So like to think really cognitively about why that is, and one of my best friend's favorite people, Dr. Robin Heister, she's like, medical doctors don't think that painkillers cure pain. We're just giving you help. Like that's the assistance, right? To deal with the pain. Like no one ever said that it cures pain, but somehow there's a disconnect between doctors and patients where the patients think that the answer to the pain is painkillers.
Right.
But they know that that's not the cure, right? And so when we start doing acupuncture and yoga, we're actually structurally changing chemically the brain and the nervous system in order to receive the pain, heal the pain, change the pain, right? Potentially even cure the pain, right? I mean, we see this happen a lot. You know, people who've dealt with chronic pain, they start breathing differently and their pain may not go away. It changes.
Right.
So that's kind of my deep passion and my approach is like, whoa, this is cool. Like everything has its time and place. There's not competition. And I think even like we should stay away from this subject, but like politically, that's true. Like both sides have truth in them, right? And it's not this side's right, this side's wrong. It's like, I wish we could just collectively take the valuable parts and just focus on that, right? Versus this like competitive thing that I think is what you're really talking about as the enemy of that being capitalism, right? And so the capitalist thing creates this notion that we can't all just focus on the good parts, but I think we can.
I think we can too. I think it's going in that direction as well.
I hope so.
Yeah, it just seems like there's such a deeper weaving of the Eastern philosophy into the Western world here than ever before.
100%, yes.
You know, especially now that there's deep data and
globalization has actually aided that a lot. You know, it's not so foreign, right? Those people over there do that thing. You know, it's our people everywhere do something.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And you know, these people that take painkillers and think that that's going to cure their problem, there are many of them, I'm sure. But they've also, it seems, I'm not in the same field that you are, but I'm sure a lot of them have just given up.
For sure.
You know, that's their answer. That's what they want. They really don't. They're not driven to go anywhere else. They've accepted their fate, whatever it is. And, you know, they're in a culture, they're in a family environment, they're friends, they're everything about them accepts that. And they just drift away into their culture, basically.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you know, if I could have a magic wand and change the whole thing, it would just be to, and I've done this, we've studied this a lot in my public health classes for my degree, is like, you know, a wellness-based system, but also get medical doctors to, instead of just saying, well, there's nothing else that you can do, there's nothing else to be done, simply saying, there's nothing else that I can do for you. However, there are other alternatives to your situation. Here is a list. And there are so many people, millions of people, in fact, that are just left with, well, this is all that can be done. I hear this every day from people. Well, this is just what it is. Like, you're just going to have to live with this colitis, or you're just going to have to live with this insomnia, or you can take this drug, you know? And it's like, or you can have this surgery. And it's like, okay, those are great options. Thank you. Because God knows short term, we might need those things, you know, but long term, what do we want to do? And are there options that I can afford and figure out a way to get circulating into my life? But it takes a lot of effort. You know, it takes consistency over time to see results from these things. And it's not that short term, fast reward benefit kind of situation, the symptomatic, you know, approach to medicine. It's long term. So do you have the patience and perseverance to see it through? So that's why I think the integrative is so great, because you can do both.
Yeah.
You know, take your painkillers until you have the time and space to approach other means, you know? get your surgery because you need to go perform. Go do it. But then when you're done with that, like look into other things so that you don't have to relive that trauma or that experience. It doesn't have to define you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, here in Encinitas, we're in such a wonderful culture for that. There's so much healing that's taking place. Of course, when I say Encinitas, I mean all of North County.
Sure, me too. Yeah.
But it's just wonderful. And you've snuggled in with some of the best, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Shepherd's is a wonderful spine and sports clinic to be at. It's just so,
yeah, he's world renowned. I mean, people fly in from all over the world to see him for his chiropractic care. And, you know, one of the leading founders of ART, which is a bodywork technique, Dan Salzer works there, as does Corey Harris. Sue Check does massage out of there.
Yeah. 20 years plus I've been going to see her.
Yeah, you know, I work there.
You work there.
They also have like these incredibly high-powered lasers. You know, John D'Ameto, also a Czech practitioner, but just brilliant in the, like, I mean, I refer to him constantly for, you know, if you want to like fix your, you know, if you want to burn fat and gain muscle and also functionally heal your body. He's so smart at that, you know, and just having people that are on our wavelength. And it's funny because we all have the same information. We all align like so deeply. It's like a Lego piece that just clicks right in. Like literally, like I don't ever feel when I tap into my community of, you know, healing modalities, I never feel disconnect. Politically, religiously, emotionally, intellectually. There's never, maybe I'm just in a gigantic echo chamber, but literally it's like, how are we all saying the same thing? How do we all feel the exact same way about everything? Like, it's a consciousness. I actually really believe that.
Yeah.
The Akashic records, not the Gnostic scrolls.
Right.
You know, people who think that they can like tap into the Akashic records.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, fascinating.
Anyway.
It is. It's such an exciting time we live in.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm just really thrilled with it.
Yeah, and through these platforms, you can just continue to build that consciousness and give people reservoirs to tap into. You know, if you're feeling isolated or confused or like, am I the only one out there that feels this way? No, there's so many people that agree with you.
Yeah.
You know?
Rumor has it you're building a whole series of online courses.
Yeah, I'm hoping to.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to just blend it all together and like put it in a format that's easily digestible, approachable, and more importantly, like you can integrate it easily. It's not out there, it's in there, you know? Well,
Aubrey, thank you for your time today. It's just been beautiful to sit down.
Yay.
I think we could really go on for quite a long time, couldn't we?
Yeah.
But I know there's work to be done today.
Yeah, of course.
And you slipped in for this sitting here with me. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Until we meet again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so just once again, anybody out there that's listening to this can reach Aubrey through
hackmanhealth.com.
hackmanhealth.com.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you.
Get on it, you guys.
Okay, thanks.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Pranayama podcast. I've been sending newsletters out since 1994. If you'd like to subscribe to that, head on over. And until we meet again, stay in the light of the heart, my friends. It's well worth it. See you soon.